Hopefully my lag doesn't go too bad.
It's been a long while, Morgoth. Long and hard didst thou fight, tarnished warrior, spurned by the grace of gold. Be assured the Elden Ring resteth close at hand. Alas, I am returned. To be granted audience once more. Upon my name as Godrey, the first Elden Lord. I've given thee courtesy enough. Now I fight as Horaloo. Warrior!
So I was never worried about fighting this boss. As long as you beat Millennia, this boss is hard, but he doesn't have health recovery and cheesing stuff that she has. So, not too worried about that. Plus, these two weapons are like a godsend. If you max out these two weapons, you should be fine. As well as if you have the green turtle talisman, and you have this for enormously boost physical damage negation, he could power bomb you like 2 times in a row, and as long as your health is 50, you won't die. I mean, you will have to heal the first time he power bombs you, but if he power bombs you a second time, if you didn't heal, then you're dead. So as long as your vigor is at 50, and as long as you have this great enormous boost to physical damage negation, if you have this, as long as you find this and put this on, this fight is not too much of a problem. And as long as you have both these weapons maxed out and have continuous regeneration of stamina, the same thing I use for Millennia, the exact same thing. The exact same thing I use for Millennia, then it shouldn't be a problem. These are the exact same talismans I use when fighting Millennia, and the exact same armor I use when fighting Millennia, and the exact same swords I use when fighting Millennia. The only difference between Millennia and him, he doesn't regenerate health per each hit like she does. That's the only reason that Millennia fight was hard, because she regenerate health every time she hits you. Because he has like a one-shot ability, and you saw it there. It's like the same as her Scarlet Rod ability, or her jump in the air doing many blades attack ability. He has a power bomb that could kill you. Hers is a little more powerful because, well, she was supposed to be like an OP character, but technically, if you eliminate her, if you get past her first stage, which is just to leech off your health and to regenerate health based on that. The second stage for Millennia is easy because she no longer has armor, but she's faster, which means she's more capable of hitting you faster than you're capable of recovering stamina. But she has like almost no pose whatsoever in her second phase, so if you jump attack, like I do this jump attack, and you knock her out of the air when she's about to do her Blaze of Storm in her second phase, she gets knocked to the ground. Or when she's about to do any jump in the air and then attack, and you knock her out the air, she drops to the ground because she's not capable of withstanding an attack because she has no armor on in the second phase. So once you get past Millennia's first phase, her second phase is easier because you can easily knock her off her ass with whatever weapons you're using. She has hardly any pulse. A lot of people say her second phase isn't easy, it's actually harder. It's just that her stamina, her speed towards her stamina has been boosted. So if you're not carrying fast flurry weapons that has a good amount of stamina recovery and has a combo attack, because it's just not just one weapon doing the attack but another at the same time doing the attack, so it's like the damage of 2 weapons in one. So it's like this does 215 actually, and this does 242. So I'm doing more than 400 damage on Millennia with these 2 weapons combined. Now I'm not sure if that's per hit or per combo, but regardless, it's 400 every time I take a swing for both of these at the same time. So that's 1 and that's 2. That's like more than 400 hits per each time I do that. 1, 2, 1, or maybe it's the combination of the whole thing is 400. It's like 1, 2, 3, and then that, and then you can do it again. So where certain big weapons would do heavy damage in the 300 to 400 range, you have to finish off the swing, which takes a lot of time to do on an execution than actually a fast moving weapon that could keep her on her toes and to make her back up continuously and take less stamina. So that's how Millennia was beaten, simply because I had stamina that's almost equal to her stamina ratio, which is, I would say her endurance was probably at 100 and she probably have something similar to this green turtle talisman, and she probably had another talisman on that allows her to regenerate health per each hit. But as long as you have your endurance, you don't even need to have endurance at 70. You could have endurance at 50 and have this on. As long as you time your attack when you're going to attack, avoid her hit, and then hit. As long as you continuously keep up the attacks with your weapon. Don't give her time to jump in the air and do any combos. You should be able to beat her. Not simply, but you will be able to beat her. The whole point of that fight with Millennia is a stamina tester. It's a stamina test. It basically tests how fast you can move, how fast you could catch up to her, how fast you could hit her without running out of stamina. So it's there to test your stamina, how well you're looking at your stamina gauge. Because every time you hit her, she falls back. And every time your mimic or whatever hits her, she falls back. Which means you have to chase after her. Which means that consumes stamina. So her whole fight was stamina. If you use up your stamina, you're screwed. So if you have your endurance high like I do, you should be fine with this talisman on. But if you don't have your endurance high up, you say your endurance at 50 or your endurance at 40, it's required, it should be required to have at least the green turtle and another stamina within your setup here. You would need to have this to reduce damage negation. But if your stamina is below 50, I would suggest get the green turtle and another talisman that regenerates stamina. For the fight with her, I had Elder Tree Favorite 2 that gives you more stamina. I think this is the best one, so you might need to have these two regardless, and then have these two weapons maxed up, or have a weapon, it doesn't matter what weapon it is, that's extremely fast, that you could do multiple attacks off before you run out of stamina. Because that's a fight based on speed, based on endurance. It's not a fight because her armor isn't that the greatest armor, so it's not like she's a tank. It's just that she keeps getting health back per each hit from her weapon. So once you understand her mechanics, she's not that difficult of a boss. If he had her same mechanics of getting health back every time he does a hit, I would have died more times than she did. So people put too much emphasis into Millennium. The truth is, if you understand how she works, if you keep up the attack, if you could run towards her, don't let her back up so she could do anything. If you keep up towards her, dodge towards her, stay on top of her, stay on top of her, stay on top of her, you'll be able to beat her. You back up and try to anticipate what she's going to do, then she's going to go and hit your summons and then regenerate health. You don't want her to regenerate health. The whole point is not to allow her to regenerate health. And also elemental damage on your weapon, especially cold. Cold works great against her. And poison, I think. Poison was effective against her. So cold and poison works effective against her. It took a lot of chunk of her health. As long as you keep up the attack, and your mimic is doing the same thing with their weapons. I'm not sure if your mimic has the capability to have the effect of your poison and stuff on them. But I think your mimic has the strength of your weapons, but I'm not 100% sure. So you could beat that boss with your mimic, or you could beat that boss with Black Knight Tish. I think I beat her before with Black Knight Tish, not with mimic. So either way, her moveset is simply one annoying moveset. Without that moveset, she would be nothing. And that is the ability to leech off your health and get health back every time she hits you. Without that boss isn't any more powerful than Horlu was, or any more powerful than Morgoth was. I don't know. They just gave her one shitty ability, and then all of a sudden she's mad strong. It's not true. It's that shitty ability itself makes her strong. When you go to second phase, during the fight, I didn't see her leeching and getting health back in the second phase. But who knows? It's just that one ability that makes Millennia strong. Other than that, she's nothing. If you really think about it, if you dodge past her Scarlet Wrath ability, or know when she's about to do it, you could pretty much dodge the Scarlet Rot and then to anticipate when you need to do the Scarlet Rot. And if you have this ability to, if the Scarlet Rot start building up, if you have this spell here, let's say if you put on this spell here, this support spell, which is Flame Cleanse Me. If you put on this spell and let's say your Scarlet Rot is building up and then you're about to die from Scarlet Rot, if you put this on and it'll cleanse you of the Scarlet Rot buildup, it won't make it completely go away, but it will cleanse you and it'll go back down to 0 and then it'll slowly build up again. So it temporarily removes Scarlet Rot. So if you have this on your character, if you have damage negation on your character before you go into the mission, and if you cast Golden Vow, and if you have a healing spell on you, just in case your health is so critical that you have no more flask, but you only have incantations, then you will use this. And you should be able to have no problem with her. And as long as your Mimic is maxed out, or Black Knight Tish is maxed out, as long as your Mimic or Black Knight Tish is maxed out, they're at 10. As long as your Mimic is at 10, and your Black Knight is at 10, then you're great. Then you're good. They won't be able to beat bosses by themselves, but they will be able to put in a lot of work on the boss, which means they will be able to do more than 25% damage on a boss, like a really, really hard boss, by themselves, which leaves you at 50% more, 50 or 75, actually more than 50. I think Black Knight should take almost 35% damage off of 40% damage off a boss, same as a Mimic, before they die. Which means it leaves you a good 50 to 70% of the remaining damage for you to do, which is not that big a deal. Like if Black Knight really moves around a lot, she can take any boss down to like half their health, but then eventually she'll die right before they reach half their health. So it's up to you to do the remaining half, or at least 60% more, 60 or 65% more. But they could, both your Mimic and the Black Knight Tish can take a boss down to about 40%, and if they're lucky, 50% by themselves. I mean, if you're unlucky, they'll probably get it down to like 25 to 35%, but still, that's still additional support you had, and now a boss that would have been like 100% you fighting them is now only at 75%, or at 70%, or about 60%, or at 50%. So the Black Knight Tish is great, and your Mimic is also great. Those are the two greatest summons in the game, hands down. And I believe the last remaining strongest one is Redmane Knight Olga, or Ogha. Redmane Knight Ogha 10. So between Redmane Knight, because some people prefer Redmane Knight over Black Knight, between Redmane Knight, between your Mimic there, and between Black Knight Tish, you can use this on any final bosses in the game. These are the top ones that we use on any final bosses in the game. Preferably Black Knight Tish, because he's super fast and agile, and you'll distract the enemy, and then your Mimic comes in at a good second, and then your Redmane Knight Olga comes in at the third. Or if you love your Mimic and you want more damage rather than Tish falling back all the time, you want to keep up the pressure, your Mimic will be the best summons in the game, and then Black Knight will come in second, and then Red Olga will come in third. So that's all I got to say about that. So I'll proceed forward. I won't be fighting Radagon today. I'll probably fight him tomorrow and finish Radagon and Ancient Beast off tomorrow. What I will be doing is just doing manual cleanup of any remaining boss in the game. So this boss, Hurulu slash Godfrey First Elden Lord, wasn't that big of a deal because I took down a harder boss before him. Well, not technically a harder boss, but a cheeser boss. So I knew he couldn't regenerate health, so I knew it wasn't a problem. And Dragon Crest Great Shield to massively reduce damage. He was done. He power bombed me like 4 times. Didn't die once. and that has nothing to do with levels, because what kills enemies faster, what negates enemies damage capabilities, and what boosts power are all within your arsenal. Damage to enemies, weapons, max out. Reducing damage, strongest armor you could find in the game. And then the best talismans, or second to best talismans in the game, are the ones right here. And this is not technically the best talisman, but it's a godsend if you need to raise your stamina fast to avoid attack before you're about to die. And I believe this is the blood loss increase within the vicinity, increase your attack power. I believe this is still better than the Rotten Wing Sword Talisman insignia that you get from Millicent, because this is based on successive attacks. It's not based on you get hit and then your power goes up a little. This is based on if you could get off a proper combo or a combination of successive attacks, then you'll be able to, your attack power will increase. Whereas this is, you just get hit once or maybe even twice, then your power attack goes up. But it says nothing about getting hit once or twice. It just says blood loss in the vicinity increases attack power. So once you lose blood and the enemy is close to you, your attack power is up. So that could be one or two hits, could be 3 hits, but it's much more reliable than this. So these are the 4 that I used in order to beat this. And the only thing I could say I had advantage over all these enemies was my endurance, which was at a 71. My endurance, which was at a 71. That's the only reason. My level means nothing. It means nothing in the game. I see people beat this game at level 1 simply because they have on the armor, simply because they max 1. I see people beat all these bosses in this game, even Millennia, at level 1, because it has nothing to do with levels. It has to do with what you have, your weapons, your armor, your talismans, and then leveling up all your summons. So everything over to the left, everything over to the left right here is what matters. Everything over to the right doesn't matter as much. It only matters a little if you want to increase a certain type of capabilities that you're trying to do. I want to increase my attack speed just a little, and I want to increase my endurance more than everything, so I could wear the Traga armor. That's all. If I could wear the Traga armor at level 60, I would wear Traga armor at level 60. But only reason I put this to 70, the only reason is because there are certain bosses in the game that requires you to, it's best that you use a big ass weapon rather than a small weapon that weighs a lot, because big weapons do big damage faster than small weapons do. Certain enemies will require you to hit extremely hard as fast as you can, and the damage amount you would get off on an enemy, you would get off far more with a heavy weapon. But at the same time, the heavy weapon is slow. So I was experimenting with this build. So I don't really need 71 endurance. I only needed, to be honest with you, 50 endurance. That's it. And I could have still beat Millennia with 50 endurance. I could have still beat the first Elden Lord with 50 endurance. So 50 endurance is where you want to be, but if you're going to be at 50 endurance, you're going to need to have fast stamina regeneration, and you're going to need to have another stamina, like to boost your stamina amulet. Like I preferably Elden, the Earth Tree Favor 2, preferably Green Turtle Talisman. These 2. If you find something better, put that on, because if you're gonna fall below 71 or even below 60, you're gonna fall by even below 50. You're gonna need to have more stamina in order to deal with bosses, or you're gonna need to time your attack specifically for the bosses that you're gonna fight. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, why certain people who will fight bosses that are below 50 in stamina, is because they time it precisely, and they got the amulet they need to regenerate their stamina. Otherwise, if you're shitty at timing and you're shitty at stamina, it is required that you should have higher stamina, which is higher endurance, in order to get off the attacks you need to get off. Because you need a lot of stamina just to wear armor. Then you need stamina in order to carry the weapons. And then you'll need more stamina just to execute the ability and speed. So you'll still need about 50, around 50 stamina anyway for smaller weapons and heavier armor. So regardless of what you think, you'll still need around that certain amount. At least that's what I'm thinking. But if I'm wrong, I'm slightly off, but not completely wrong. So I'll keep my gut sword. I'm gonna use my gut sword. So that's it for this video. Tomorrow I'll play Radagon and the ending the game. Maybe I should do some exploration right now. I probably will. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do some random exploration and let this video continues. If I find something interesting, I will. If not, yeah, I'll end it here.